for Sheriff Johnson.
Thank you, Chair, Supervisors. A lot of good comments. I was sitting there taking notes at first, trying to figure out what I wanted to rebut or uphold, but there's just too many in the room, so I'll stick with what I had going. I've always proclaimed that I am a staunch and strong advocate of the Second Amendment. I did that during the time that just before I was appointed, throughout the election, and now today is no different. I am a strong proponent of the Second Amendment, and I believe in it wholeheartedly. I do support this county being a Second Amendment sanctuary. In fact, when I was Chief of Police of Anderson, I actually tried to get the NRA to join me and make the city of Anderson a sanctuary city. Perhaps I should have used the California Pistol and Rifle Association. I am for you guys passing this amendment, but I am also for it with the edits by staff. And for all the legal reasons that were put forth, I'm not going to go over each of those again. The conflict in the Second Amendment comes down to interpretation. It's various interpretations that lead to the struggles, the difference of opinions, and everything that we're hearing in this room today. Like it or not, the California does recognize your rights to bear arms. They do it via CCW. The courts have not ruled on the opinion of the Supreme Court has not ruled on an opinion of open carry versus concealed carry. Concealed carry is a right to bear arms, and that's what we have in California right now, like it or not. And speaking of those concealed carry weapon permit holders, I personally am not scared of any of them because I vet them and I know that they are responsible citizens that have gone through the process and have firearms and will be my backup, be your backup. God forbid we need them to be. So having those armed people around, the people that raised their hand and didn't, because I know there were several in you who didn't raise your hand, you don't make me nervous. And I appreciate the fact that any one of you are a concealed weapons permit holder. And I encourage you, if not, go through the training, come apply, and we'll get you a concealed weapons permit. By stating the Second Amendment is a blanket right to, inherent right to carry, I think is errant. Because if you subscribe to that interpretation of the Second Amendment, then any armed violent felon would be able to carry a weapon. If any 14-year-old, 12-year-old would be able to strap on a weapon and walk into their classroom. There needs to be some sort of regulatory provisions, governance of firearms. It has to be there for the safety of all the good citizens in each county and each state. The other argument on the Second Amendment, which is used and even considered by courts when they hear these cases, is the intent of the forefathers when they put that amendment into place. And the court case of Bruin versus New York is a perfect example of that, where they ruled ultimately, and I'll simplify it, that you do not need good reason to apply for a CCW permit. You can apply, and as long as you're a law-abiding citizen, you can get it. What keeps getting glossed over in that ruling also, though, is they upheld and confirmed the CCW permit process. That is part of Bruin as well. So when you use the argument of Bruin to speak up for or uphold the Second Amendment, you can't then turn around and say you're going to disregard court hearings and court rulings, because that is a court ruling that went in our favor. Now, you don't like the ones that don't go in your favor. You can't just arbitrarily decide to discard those. So again, it's interpretation and it's very complicated. But I do know this. The states and the counties make the determination of your right to bear arms. And I will be the first one if the state or any other form of government or anybody else tries to deteriorate your right to bear arms. I will not let it happen. I will stand up and I will stand in their way. I will not do that in violation of my oath or in violation of current federal or state law. I took an oath of office just like the board up here did. I have a little bit more restrictions in my oath of office because I'm a California peace officer and sworn to uphold those laws of this state, and I will uphold those laws of this state. I make no bones about it. Just like the Bruin case, folks, I was waiting for that case to come out and what they came out with, which was very favorable for the Second Amendment. I am now waiting on the case, Baird is one of them, to go to the Supreme Court and have the Supreme Court rule on open versus concealed carry, because they haven't done that yet. So I am not going to institute concealed or open carry, I'm sorry, until we get that court ruling. Because if I did that and had to fall back, it'd be too complicated. Again, we have the right to bear arms, concealed weapons permit process. I'm happy to get that to all the citizens that want to go that route. I'm almost done, Chair. I'll wrap it up. I am willing to back and I'm willing to battle a lot of the state laws regarding guns and gun ownership. I do not agree with bullet buttons. I do not agree that I have to go through a background check to buy ammo to go hunting or target shooting or whatever I want to do. I do not agree with suppressors. I do not agree with a lot of the gun laws. I do not believe that those gun laws specifically are in violation of the Second Amendment. I believe those are an attack to try to get them to strip away our Second Amendment right. And I'll be glad to join any of the legal and legislative fights on those gun restrictions, but I will not do it again in violation of my oath of office or my right or my oath to protect the community. And finally, I want you to know, so let's go back to it really quick with the Baird and the other ones on the ruling of open carry versus concealed carry. If the courts rule that open carry is, in fact, a constitutional right, stand by, folks, we'll be going to open carry, because that is what I go on, what is ruled constitutional and what is not. My final statement to you is this. I told you I took an oath to uphold the laws of the federal and state government and to protect people's property, their rights, their life, and constitutionality. And I am bound by that. I believe in it, and I'll go to my grave fighting that. But make also no mistake about it. The laws that are on the books are on the books. If you carry a gun, loaded or unloaded, open or concealed, without a permit, currently, the Shasta County Sheriff's Department will enforce that law. You will be arrested. We will take your gun as evidence, and you will be prosecuted. That is hard and fast right now. Waiting on court rulings for other things, but in the meantime, that's one thing that's going to stand. Thank you.
Sheriff Johnson, one quick question. Thank you. But with all due respect, concealed weapon permits are something that you permit. No constitutional right has to have a permit. None do. So logic would say that concealed weapon permits are not a constitutional right. It is not a constitutional right, and there's only two ways to carry a firearm.
That's an interpretation, Chair. That's
no, and not eight of the 9 circuits have already agreed with this, and so I'm just going to disagree that constitutional rights. A constitutional right is there's no permit required. No permit.
I don't see anywhere in the Constitution, the Second Amendment, where it says you can open carry or concealed carry.
It does
says
not.
Rights
it says
to bear arms.
It says you have the right to keep and bear arms, period.
It doesn't say that you can walk around with it openly or concealed or anything else.
Exactly. But
okay, I'm not. I won't debate it. That's
correct.
fine. We can
so
disagree on that.
We'll just agree to disagree. And thank you. Any other questions for the sheriff? Seeing none. Okay.
Yeah, I just want to say I appreciate you coming, because you didn't have to come. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.